Hello, podcast time. It's that time of the week when you can tune in to the ITV News podcast, which is called the Royal Rota. And we bring this podcast to you every week. Today is Thursday when we record. Tomorrow is Friday when you listen. And we're here again, second one of the year.
Second one of the year.
Yes.
And it, again, has not been a quiet week.
It's been one of those weeks. No, actually, you know, if regular viewers and listeners to this podcast will know that I don't normally bring much paper into the studio with me. I normally have a few scribbled notes. Well, I've got the scribbled notes. There they are. But I've also got lots of paper this week because I diligently printed out the 46 pages of Judge Lewis A. Kaplan's, what do we call it? Denial of the dismissal.
The motion to dismiss.
Denial of the motion to dismiss. There we go. Big news this week. In fact, there were a couple of big stories around this week. I was doing an interview for Australian television and they said to me, oh, how is this going down in the UK? Now, this was on Wednesday when we had the Prime Minister sort of apologising / not apologising in the House of Commons for the party / not party. So there were so many stories around. Prince Andrew kind of went second for most media organisations on the day it broke. Had it not been for Boris Johnson, it would have been slap bang top.
Yeah, but it is fair to say that it is getting a huge amount of attention here, despite the Boris Johnson story. It is being covered extensively in all the press and on broadcast.
And what year is it this year? It is 2022, which means it is the
Queen's Platinum Jubilee, which she will reach on the 6th of February on what should be a very happy year.
Yeah, okay,
we are again talking about her son.
So, Queen's Platinum Jubilee 2022, it runs all year, of course, but it happens in just a few weeks' time. Prince Andrew, very serious allegations in a lawsuit and a civil case, which may come to fruition in 2022.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Ouch. It could not really be. I mean, the whole cloud hanging constantly over the royal family with this case could not be much worse or much more serious.
Quite so. Let's say at this juncture that Prince Andrew denies all the allegations that have been levelled against him, and he denies ever having met Virginia Giuffre, despite that widely seen photograph that everybody's seen of him apparently in Ghislaine Maxwell's house in London in 2001. But yeah, Judge Lewis Kaplan didn't rule in Andrew's favour this week, safe to say.
He didn't, and I think we were expecting that, weren't we? We had the hearing last week on Tuesday, and I think having heard that hearing, I think we said last week, it was quite a bruising encounter
kind of called it last week,
Prince Andrew's team, and I think we were all anticipating this, but news came through yesterday morning New York time, afternoon in the UK.
So one of the other things we said to you last week was how long is pretty soon, according to Judge Lewis A. Kaplan. We didn't know last week how long pretty soon was. We found out this week that pretty soon is a week and a day.
A week and a day.
Because the case, the application to dismiss the case was last Tuesday. The judge came back on Wednesday with these aforementioned 46 pages. We will quote some of it to you imminently, but have no fear before you switch off, turn down the volume. We're not going to quote all 46 pages to you.
No.
What a relief.
No. We have read them.
Other things around this week, before we get into Andrew, other things around this week. Obviously, Platinum Jubilee, lots of that. Kate turned 40. Quite a bit of that.
40.
We'll give you some, we'll talk about some pictures. There were other things that happened which you were about to tell me.
On my list. Kate's 40th birthday. We've got 3 new portraits of the Duchess to mark the milestone.
That was my one.
Big news for the Platinum Jubilee. We had
puddings.
The full plans about how the year will look in terms of celebration for that milestone.
You say we had the full plans, but we kind of had all the plans before, so the only new thing was the pudding.
Was the pudding, yes. And I think that they fleshed out some of the detail on some of the events that we're going to get through the year. We had an announcement this week on Prince Charles has been, he commissioned 7 painters to paint portraits of 7 of the remaining Holocaust survivors.
You know, I want to say lovely story. Clearly, I'm not referring to Holocaust, but I just think the bid to remember, because actually everything that I've ever learnt about the Holocaust and the times I've been to Auschwitz, for example, or the Holocaust Memorial in Jerusalem, it's all about remembering individuals, not the massive number, but all about remembering the individuals. And I thought Prince Charles's project was very much aimed at that. Here are 7 people, 7 survivors.
Yeah.
And as he said, that they might not be around for much longer, but it's important that we remember.
And the final thing on my list is Prince William held his first investiture of the year, and he gave an MBE to none other than Mr. Motivator.
Now, Mr. Motivator and William had a very interesting chat about unitards. Now, what's a unitard?
It's sort of a all-in-one Lycra number.
Right, all in one. Does it like a leotard? Does it actually, or is it got shorts? Does it?
I think it can be long or short, but
it
is an all-in-one.
Like Borat wore, or was that like a in Kazakhstan, wherever he was?
Yeah, it's definitely Lycra though. That's the key to it.
Lycra and therefore quite tight. Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. And Prince William apparently has one if he chooses to wear it.
Well, Mr. Motivator's got him one.
Well, you can hear from Mr. Motivator later. If you're watching the US and have no idea who Mr. Motivator is, think of Breakfast TV, think of Mr. Exercise Man in the 1980s. 80s? TVAM, wasn't it?
Yeah, aerobics, fitness.
Thing, who then during the lockdown went on to do more motivations. And he's been given an MBE.
He has.
What an eclectic mix. Where do we start?
What's up to you? Because you'll decide anyway, whatever I say.
Let's deal with the, I think, elephant in the room in terms of, well, there's no longer an elephant in the room because we can see and smell and hear the elephant because, the judge is kind of put it out there. So, Prince Andrew, all the options, I think, whatever publication you read, whatever analysis you come to, all the options for Prince Andrew now that his request to have this case dismissed has been denied. Is that the right way? Yeah.
Yep.
All the options are bad.
Yeah, there doesn't appear to be a straightforward or a good option for Prince Andrew going forward. We understand that there may be another attempt at a motion to dismiss based on where Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre live. But then if that doesn't work, his other options are to default, to settle, or to go to trial.
Okay, let's examine the trial part of this, because I think this is what gets all the headlines, is Prince Andrew case heading for trial. It's true to say it's heading for trial, but it's also true to say that 95% or 97% I saw in the week of lawsuits in the US end up in a settlement. Yep. So his lawyers, and they've gone to ground, we haven't heard from them, other than the fact that, as we said earlier, Prince Andrew denies the allegations. His team say that they are fighting to clear his name. But they do now, in front of them, have the decision to settle with Virginia Giuffre, default, which is essentially give up and don't contest, or to go all the way to a trial.
Yeah, and it was our understanding that for Prince Andrew, it was incredibly important for him to clear his name and to fight this. And well,
the only way you can really do that is trial.
To go to trial.
Because the settlements, whilst you get settlements with non-disclosure agreements, you get settlements where there's a no fault attributed. Sometimes they're completely secret, as was the case with Jeffrey Epstein's one for at least 12 years. It's not the same as completely clearing your name at a trial.
No, so we understand that for him is what he wants to do. He wants to clear his name, but financial options aren't being discussed or weren't being discussed, but they equally haven't been removed from the table entirely.
Right, let's do two things. Let's first of all read you a couple of things that the judge said, and then let's hear from someone who was a former prosecutor, is a former prosecutor.
Prosecutor.
Is a former federal prosecutor in the United States, and he can tell us what he thinks will happen next if this case does head towards a trial. So firstly, judge. So here's the 46-page document which we spoke to you about earlier. It was on page 30-something, wasn't it? We found 32. There 32. We are. Helpfully highlighted in pink. Where the judge spoke about this agreement that Virginia Giuffre signed with Jeffrey Epstein in 2009, in which she was paid $500,000 and agreed not to pursue any other so-called potential defendants for legal action. The judge said this about Prince Andrew's application to dismiss the case. He said, the 2009 agreement cannot be said to demonstrate clearly and unambiguously that the parties intended the instrument, that's the settlement agreement, directly, primarily or substantially to benefit Prince Andrew. And therefore, he said, for those reasons, the defendant's motion to dismiss the complaint, or for a more definite statement, is denied in all respects.
Pretty clear.
Pretty clear. No, there were two things actually at the end there. One was was to dismiss the complaint. The other one was about that her allegations were not very clear. Well, we remember the judge last week famously said that's a dog that's not going to have a fight here. Well, he said of those claims by Prince Andrew's side that Virginia Giuffre's complaint was not clear. This is from Lewis Kaplan, open quotes. Miss Giuffre's complaint is neither unintelligible, nor vague, nor ambiguous. It alleges discrete incidents of sexual abuse in particular circumstances at 3 identifiable locations. It identifies to whom it attributes that sexual abuse. So, I mean, one of the options, of course, is for Prince Andrew to appeal this. But I think most lawyers were saying yesterday, well, if you look at this 46-page judgment, there's not really much room for that.
No, I would agree on that front.
Right, so we hear from Mitchell Epner.
Mitchell Epner, yes.
Right, Mitchell Epner is a currently former federal prosecutor. Was once a federal prosecutor in the United States of America for the federal government. If this case goes to trial, the next stage is deposition and discovery. That will involve Prince Andrew being taped, giving evidence and being questioned by Virginia Giuffre's side. So no judge there. This isn't the court case. This is the sort of discovery and deposition phase. This is what Mitchell Epner told us about that.
So what will happen now is what's called discovery in America. That is the process by which documents and testimony are exchanged between the parties. Prince Andrew will be required to provide pertinent documents, which would include travel itineraries, which I know is contested, certain medical records, which I also know is hotly contested, and perhaps most importantly, to sit for a deposition, which is a court-ordered interview in front of a stenographer on video. Judge is not present, where he will be questioned for up to 7 hours of running time. So it may take far more than 7 hours by David Boies, who is perhaps the most skilled deposition taker of his generation and perhaps in American jurisprudence.
Now, 7 hours of taped evidence. We know what Prince Andrew did in 1 hour of Newsnight, so 7 hours of taped evidence. And of course, the danger, we're not talking about just Prince Andrew here, but the danger of going along this route, as Ghislaine Maxwell found, was that you can, in the course of the deposition, you can potentially, not saying Prince Andrew will, but one can potentially incriminate oneself.
Yeah, and they can also call for deposition, not just Prince Andrew, but people connected to Prince Andrew, and that could include his family. That could include Sarah Ferguson, that could include his daughters, it could include...
As in, Princess... hello daughters, were you at Pizza Express on the evening of...
It could.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, so this is why a trial is a risky process, and the lengthy procedure will hang over the Prince and the royal family for most of the year, in fact, probably into next year.
Yeah, because the trial is currently scheduled for the autumn, September, October, but talking to lawyers, these things often slip and get pushed back, so it could be at the beginning of next year.
So there's the danger of the trial.
Mm-hmm.
We don't really need to discuss the danger of defaulting, because defaulting is like admitting that you're giving up and the other side's won, and that's costly.
Yep.
A judge can award damages. Let's talk about settlement.
So settlement, I mean, talking again to lawyers and hearing from Virginia's lawyer, David Boies, Virginia, it seems, might not just be interested in a financial settlement. She might push for more than that from
because she's not someone of limited financial means.
Yeah.
In other words, you know, I think someone put it to us, she's not looking for the next paycheck or the next monthly rent. So therefore she might say, actually, this isn't about the money. This is about, I want an apology, for example.
Well, I'm going to read you what one of her lawyers said.
Yep.
yesterday. They said the decision by Judge Kaplan denying Prince Andrew's effort to dismiss Virginia Giuffre's case against him is another important step in Virginia's heroic and determined pursuit of justice as a survivor of sex trafficking. So for Virginia, the absolute key for her is to feel like she has achieved in her pursuit of justice.
Yes, and therefore settlement might not just be about the money. She might demand some form of culpability or something. I'm not saying that Prince Andrew will sign this. I'm just saying that's what she might demand.
Yep, which is why all avenues ahead of Prince Andrew as it stands, and therefore, reputationally the monarchy is so bad. So,
shall we discuss what Buckingham Palace have said about this? Because clearly they knew, of course, that this was going on yesterday. Only one line from them, which was, quotes, from a source, we would not comment on what is an ongoing legal matter.
Which is remained their position throughout this. They are not going to get involved. They have very much tried to distance themselves as much as possible, but the fact remains he is the Queen's second son.
Okay, so we've discussed settlement, we've discussed default, we've discussed trial. In brief, I mean, there's a lot more we could discuss, of course. But then there's all the implications for his reputation. And for example, what do we have today? We had a demand from 152 veterans, military veterans. We should qualify this because it came via the Republic pressure group. Republic is the group that wants to abolish the monarchy and have an elected head of state. But a letter to the Queen saying Prince Andrew should be stripped of all his military titles. We've not had to do this before, but because since we recorded the podcast earlier this afternoon, there's such a significant announcement, we've come back in here, it's now kind of evening time, and we're going to sort of insert this little update. Call this an update. Breaking news update this is for the podcast. The breaking news is...
The breaking news in a statement from Buckingham Palace late this afternoon.
Now, what time did it come, this statement? So this is Thursday, here we go, 17:05. So just after 5 o'clock in the UK.
And it said, with the Queen's approval and agreement, the Duke of York's military affiliations and royal patronages have been returned to the Queen. The Duke of York will continue not to undertake any public duties and is defending this case as a private citizen.
And so ended the statement from Buckingham Palace. In other words, any patronages the Queen has given Prince Andrew, she has taken them back. Any any military affiliations he had as courtesy of the Queen, she's taken them back. They will be redistributed among other members of the royal family. The decision was made with other members of the royal family. We were hearing yesterday about how these discussions were going on. And now we've had the fruition of those discussions, which is Prince Andrew, you deny the allegations, you continue to deny the allegations, but as far as the reputational damage to the monarchy is concerned, I'm afraid there is no way back.
And the other significant development is that the Duke of York will no longer use the style His Royal Highness in any official capacity. So he retains His Royal Highness, but he just won't use it. So
which
similar to
Harry
the Duke and Duchess of Sussex.
Meghan. Yes, exactly. All of the roles handed back to the Queen. They get redistributed. HRA's not being used anymore. We've also had an update from Prince Andrew's side in that they say that it was by agreement, not imposition, that these official duties have been taken away and he has stepped down and handing back his patronages. And because he's not doing any work anymore, the HRH, the His Royal Highness bit, is therefore, as a source in his office put it to us, no longer applicable. But he obviously went in to see his mum this afternoon. So kind of just after we were recording this podcast, he went in to see mum at Windsor Castle. There was a camera that saw him drive out and drive back in.
Yep, he was seen on camera leaving Royal Lodge and went to see the Queen, and then the statement came later.
Yes, and as far as everything else is concerned, that's quite significant. No way back. I mean, Buckingham Palace won't say this is it permanently, he stepped down for good. But equally, they say these titles ain't going back to him. So you can rather finish the sentence for them to say they're not going to go back to him at any point in the future.
Yeah, and we talked earlier at length about how the case that Prince Andrew is undertaking at the moment, what a sort of, cloud that is putting, to put it mildly, over the royal family and the monarchy, and left with little choice really about what to do. And I think for many people, they feel that this was about time this happened.
One more update to give you. A lot's happened since we recorded our podcast, but you're getting everything. The good news is you're getting everything. One more statement from a source in Prince Andrew's office relating to yesterday's decision in New York, the one we've just been talking about in such great detail in this podcast. And it goes like this: given the robustness with which Judge Kaplan greeted our arguments, we were unsurprised by the ruling. The ruling we told you about earlier, saying that Prince Andrew's motion to dismiss the case would be denied. The statement goes on, however, it was not a judgment on the merits of Miss Giuffre's allegations. This is a marathon, not a sprint, said the source in the Duke's office, and the Duke, Prince Andrew, will continue to defend himself against these claims.
So we said earlier that the Duke was going to fight. He wanted to fight to clear his name. That was the absolute priority for him, and that statement makes clear that that continues to be the case, that he will continue in this fight.
So there we go. If you think of this podcast as a train, we've basically gone along the tracks that we was listening to earlier. We've gone into a little siding where we've given you an update. We're now going to rejoin the track that we were on, and you can listen to the rest of the podcast.
And this hangs over the Queen at what should be an incredibly
exactly. Said at the top.
Happy year for her. She's celebrating becoming the first British monarch to ever have spent 70 years on the throne. This should be a year of celebration, and yet hanging over all of it is going to be this Prince Andrew case.
So anyway, this is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee year. I think we should talk about the Platinum Jubilee. We've kind of spoken about everything we need to speak about for now on Prince Andrew. Agreed?
Agreed. I mean, as you said earlier, we haven't heard anything from his side. They have very much gone to ground for the moment, and no doubt locked in talks about what on earth they do going forward and how to deal with this.
Okay, so I can put this big pile of paper. If you're not watching this on YouTube but listening on your podcast platform,
You can hear a thud.
There is the paper. It's that much. Platinum Jubilee year. Now, actually, you kind of need a similar length of paper to talk about all the things happening in the Jubilee year. As we said before, the Jubilee year starts on February the 6th, which is Accession Day. Actually, quite a difficult day for the Queen because it's the day her father died and she became Queen. But all the events, as normal in the UK because of the weather, have all been moved to the summer. Which is no guarantee, of course. That
Which is no guarantee in the UK.
Because everyone might remember the Diamond Jubilee river pageant, rain,
Yep.
cold.
Yep.
Prince Philip ending up in hospital afterwards.
Yep.
So there we are. Do you want to go through the list of things that are happening? Because we are talking really about a long bank holiday weekend. A bank holiday in the UK is a public holiday.
Yeah, a bank holiday weekend
bank holidays.
of a 4-day bank holiday weekend. I'm ignoring your why are we calling it a bank holiday? A 4-day weekend of celebrations across the whole weekend, but there are other things throughout the year. So should we start with the main weekend?
The main weekend, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday in June.
The first weekend in June.
2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, so on the Thursday, the 2nd of June, we have the Queen's birthday parade, which is otherwise known as Trooping the Colour. Okay. And that will be the first time it's been back in London with all the pomp and ceremony since the pandemic began. So that will be quite a big moment.
And some beacons that day, I believe.
And Platinum Jubilee beacons.
Not just in the UK, but also in...
it is over 1,500 towns, villages and cities throughout the UK, Channel Islands, Isle of Man and UK overseas territories will come together to light a beacon.
And the capital cities of the Commonwealth.
And the capital cities of the Commonwealth countries.
In the end.
And the principal beacon will be lit where?
The principal beacon will be lit Buckingham Palace?
Yes.
Good
guess.
Pretty obvious.
Good guess.
Yes, okay, so that's Thursday.
Friday the 3rd of June, there will be a service of thanksgiving for the Queen's reign at St Paul's Cathedral. Saturday the 4th is Big Party Day. The Platinum Party at the Palace. Members of the public will be invited to apply to attend a live concert bringing together some of the world's biggest entertainment stars.
And no one's been confirmed for that yet.
No, but you've got to imagine that there'll be some pretty big names there.
Yeah, well, we had some pictures, didn't we, in our piece the other day where the Queen was meeting. Was it Elton John, Tom Jones?
Paul McCartney, I think, was there.
I mean, if you get an invitation from the Queen to come and help her celebrate becoming the first British monarch ever to reach 70 years on the throne, you probably would say yes.
You'd probably say yes. Yeah. Sunday
some big stars.
Sunday the 5th.
Yep.
There'll be a Platinum Jubilee pageant with artists, performers, dancers, musicians, military personnel uniting to tell the story of the Queen's 70-year reign, and that will be through the streets of London.
Wasn't there something else on Sunday?
Yep, the big Jubilee lunch.
Oh, the lunch thing, which is connected to the pudding.
Which is connected to the pudding.
Okay, what do we talk about next? The pudding or the pageant?
Oh, the pudding.
Pudding. Okay, let's do pudding.
The pudding.
So, where did Coronation chicken come from?
It was invented for the Queen's coronation.
And what is Coronation chicken, in case anyone doesn't know?
Well, you described it to me the other day, didn't you, as sort of a chickeny, mayonnaise-y, creamy...
Well, given it was invented in 1953, when I suppose Britain didn't have that many influences on its cuisine, shall we say, but it kind of chicken, kind of mayonnaise,
raisins in its traditional form,
raisins, and some kind of yellowness. Now, whether that yellowiness comes from turmeric or curry powder or something, but that is what Coronation chicken was. Invented in 1953, people still eat Coronation chicken sandwiches. Therefore, if you've invented a platinum pudding, are we still, the podcast hosts of the future, will they still be talking about platinum pudding?
Well, that's the hope. You can design a pudding to celebrate the Queen's Platinum Jubilee.
Which will go into history.
That's the hope, that it will sort of live as long as the Coronation chicken or the Victoria sponge, which was designed or was named because of Queen
I
Victoria.
thought it might be named after her, but not actually for a specific specific Jubilee. But anyway, we digress. What do you want to know about the pudding? Well, we know someone who knows quite a lot about the pudding, don't we?
We do. So the bakers will include the judges of the bakers will include Mary Berry, Dame Mary Berry, the Queen of puddings. Monica Galetti, who is known for MasterChef on her TV role.
Head chef at Buckingham Palace.
Yes.
He's on there.
He is.
And he said, don't make it too complicated or
fussy. He said, keep it simple.
Keep it simple, okay. And we had our own ideas. We could explore this further. And, and regular.
Regular is a win.
Is a win. And regular is a win was a contributor to one of our news programmes this week.
She was, and yes. she told us what she, as a judge, is looking for.
Well, of course, it has to be original. And we are not asking to invent something totally new and something really crazy, Heston Blumenthal-like. But we want people to really think about the story. You know, this pudding will become part of this historic moment. So it is quite something. You can be part of history. And we want people to actually look at the life of the Queen and the work of the Queen, because she has done so many amazing things and she has such a character. So there's so many things to take inspiration from for the pudding. I mean, I'm just thinking maybe something with little meringues and have like all the meringues in the different colors of the Queen's outfits or something like that. Wouldn't that be brilliant? I mean, nobody wants to eat a pudding that isn't nice. It has to be fantastic. It has to be fit for a queen. And also it has to look good. I mean, anything goes.
I liked Regular, didn't you?
She was great. She was so brilliant.
Literally, her character came through the camera lens, even though we did the interview on Zoom.
And I like that she's looking for a story.
A story.
A story in...
Now, we came up with a story, didn't we, in the week? Me, you, and Rachel Younger, one of our colleagues.
It wasn't much of a story. It was more just flavours that we liked.
Flavours that we liked. We were also... we were eating Terry's chocolate orange at the time.
We were.
And then we saw the Buckingham Palace head chef say, keep it simple.
Yep.
So we came up with a... not that original.
Not that original
giant
at all.
Jaffa cake.
Yep.
But the twist was that the middle bit would have orange liqueur or Cointreau in it.
I don't think we're going to win.
Right.
It's just my thought on... I was going to predict. But
you can enter?
No.
No, okay.
But if you do want to enter, you can enter if you're aged 8 years and above. Deadline for entries...
Includes me.
And me.
Yeah.
You have until the 4th of February to enter, and then the 5 finalists will be invited to Fortnum's, who are leading on the competition, in March to create their masterpiece live for the judges in the final competition round.
No pressure or anything, but that's quite a big deal. So a platinum pudding. There you go. All the details. You've heard from Regular Isawin. You've heard from the Buckingham Palace head judge. You know what our suggestion would be.
I would maybe take no advice.
And you know where to apply. Where do you apply? How do you apply?
There is a link.
Yes. Something on Fortnum.
Yeah, there is a link. fortnumandmason.com/platinum-pudding.
And similarly, we mentioned the party at the Palace. The tickets for that, there's a ballot for tickets for that, which will go on sale. You can't have a ballot sale or go on ballot.
There's a ballot, yeah.
There will be a ballot, which will open in February sometime, so next month.
Yep.
Let's talk pageants.
Pageants.
Now, what route would the pageant take?
It'll take the route of the coronation route.
Chicken.
Yes, coronation chicken.
Which is confusing because the coronation, as anyone will know, if you know your royal history, was in 1953, not 1952 when she became queen. But the route of the coronation procession went from Westminster Abbey, up Whitehall, down the Mall to
the Palace. Yeah.
So that's what we think the Queen might be on it. We're not sure, but we think she might. Or at least members of the royal family might be on it.
Well, I was looking at this.
On a float.
This schedule.
On the back of a lorry.
This schedule of events. I mean, you know, given that the Queen has been only undertaking really light duties since the autumn, since she cancelled that visit to Northern Ireland, since she had the overnight stay in hospital, we haven't really seen her, we've definitely not seen her undertaking engagements outside of palace walls. So this is quite a busy schedule, so it remains to be seen how much of it.
To be fair, and they haven't confirmed.
One
the Queen will be at, or which ones she will
no,
attend herself.
And I'm sure we probably.
I imagine the biggest ones. My prediction: Troop in the Colour, party, Thanksgiving service, and pageant. So 4, 1 a day. So 1 Thursday, 1 Friday, 1 Saturday.
That's busy though.
Yeah.
She'll be 90. She turns 96 in April, and hasn't.
Blimey, yeah, we've got that coming up as well, haven't we?
So it's a very busy summer of events.
Very busy summer of events. Anything else we've missed? There's also the Royal Windsor Horse Show thing.
Yep. Yes. So a 90-minute extravaganza.
What's that called?
The Gallop Through History.
Right.
Every evening at the Royal Windsor Horse Show, obviously one of the Queen's most beloved pastimes is anything to do with horses. And on the...
so go to that. That's my prediction.
Sunday night, the 15th of May, that will be broadcast on ITV.
Okay. And the party is BBC, isn't it, on the Saturday?
Yes.
Right. There we go. Platinum Jubilee year. And I think there'll be more. Surely?
That's quite a lot already.
Well, yeah. There'll be tours. Don't know where yet. My guess would be something like some of the big realms, like Australia, New Zealand, Canada.
Normally,
we don't know who, we don't know where, but there's normally big tours in a Jubilee year.
So COVID permitting, I think we would get out on tour with them.
But not Barbados.
We've done that one.
Yeah. We said goodbye to that one. If any other Caribbean country is looking to no longer become a realm, if you want to do it in the next few weeks, we'd happily come out to the Caribbean and cover the story. You know, with Antigua or what are the other ones? Grenada, St. Kitts, Jamaica. Anyone fancy it?
Take any
Anyone
of them.
Want any sort of royal news covered in the Caribbean islands?
We
will
take
be up for an offer of accommodation and flights.
Anyway, we digress as usual.
Which will be paid for by ITV News, of course, in the proper usual way. I should add before people start wondering if we get bribed, which we don't. Right. Okay. Next.
Kate's birthday.
Kate's birthday. How old did she turn?
Kate turned 40 on Sunday.
Milestone birthday.
A milestone birthday.
Did we get any milestone photographs?
We did. We got 3 new, what have been called photographic portraits of the Duchess.
So let's have a look at these photographic portraits of the Duchess, who were photographed by. Taken by.
They were taken by Paolo Roversi.
Yeah.
And they were taken at Kew Gardens in November.
I didn't see any trees in the back of this. Why were they taken at Kew Gardens and there were no trees? There's a question. Somebody put that on my Twitter, by the way. Why were there no trees?
So I think the focus was the Duchess, but...
Well, why go back to Kew Gardens? Just have it taken in Kensington Palace.
Yeah, well. Anyway, the portraits, the 3 portraits will enter the permanent collection of the National Portrait Gallery, which, of course, the Duchess is patron of.
Yes, indeed. So here, are we showing you the pictures? I presume we have.
We're showing.
We're showing. Here are the pictures in very slow motion. Here's one of Kate. Here's another of Kate. Here's a third one of Kate.
Wearing
some clothes.
Wearing some clothes. Yep.
One was red and 2 were silver.
Yep, and they were by
by a clothes designer.
So they were by, all three were Alexander McQueen
She likes
dresses. Alexander McQueen designed the Duchess's wedding dress. And the earrings in one of the portraits were loaned to her by the Queen, and in two of the others they were earrings previously owned by Princess Diana. We understand that all the portraits were inspired by previous royal portraits and work by the likes of Cecil Beaton.
Yes, have you finished?
Nearly.
I didn't pay attention to any of that. I was actually just looking for, because I found, did you see those stories that I put up on our Instagram site? We haven't given our Instagram page a plug.
You haven't given it a plug, and we're how many minutes
At ITV News Royals on Instagram. Now, I put up a story the other day where, was it some artist had sort of recreated images. Did you not see this? Did you not go on the stories on our website, on our Instagram site?
No.
I'm just trying to find them now, but they're not there because stories kind of disappear. There's one on Mr. Motivator. Anyway, if I find it, I will share it with you. But I can't find it. So
this is really good content.
Should we edit this bit out?
Should we edit this bit out?
Or we keep it in so people know what nonsense we talk about.
Can I read you a quote from the...
is there more on Kate's...
Yeah, gosh, I'm nowhere near finished. Can I read you a quote about the Duchess's photo shoot?
I'm going to have a look at these images.
So the photographer said to a Italian newspaper, to quote, "In the end, I wanted to take some moving pictures."
Is he Italian?
Yes. "In the end, I wanted to take some moving pictures. So with that wonderful wide skirt, I made her dance in front of my lens, a sort of accelerated waltz mixed with a pinch of rock and roll."
An accelerated
waltz mixed with a pinch of rock and roll.
Okay. Now, so you didn't see... You done?
I thought that was quite interesting how to get her to...
So on the 11th of Jan, did you see these things that I put up that were like did you not?
No. I probably clicked on.
Clicked on, clicked off. You'd think you'd pay attention to what we were doing on our own Instagram page, wouldn't you? And now I can't get them to do something. But
do you not like the dancing fact?
Dancing?
I thought that was quite a nice fact that he got her to dance. Where are those photos?
I suppose she looked like she was dancing, didn't she?
Nice.
Kind of.
They're nice.
Yeah.
And she had a very special birthday message, didn't she?
She did. And you're going to share it with us.
From a friend of the show, little Mila Snedden.
Oh, yes. Actually, she had two special messages. She had one from Mila and one from Tony.
She did, yes, which we'll play you because they're both very sweet.
Happy birthday, Catherine. I'm so happy you're turning 40. Hope you get nice gifts. I love spending time with your family. Bye. Lots of love, Mila.
Hello, Catherine. Happy birthday. Thank you for all the support. Love from Tony.
Now, you might remember, as we're on the subject of Catherine, the Duchess of Cambridge, that she did play the piano at an event which was broadcast on national television, ITV, I believe, before Christmas Eve. And she played piano for a singer-songwriter.
She did, for Tom Walker. It was the surprise, wasn't it? The last minute surprise that we didn't know about.
Now, has Tom Walker done any interviews recently with any, decent podcast?
Nope.
No, not until now. You're about to hear our conversation with Tom Walker about the aforementioned concert in which Kate played the piano and how it happened and how they did the rehearsals and what else did he tell us about how great he was
and how he thought she did.
Smashed it.
Yeah.
So this is mine and Lizzie's conversation with the aforementioned Tom Walker about the performance by the Duchess of Cambridge. Tom, how does a singer-songwriter as accomplished as yourself end up in Westminster Abbey with the future Queen being the sort of pianist accompaniment?
Yeah, I mean, I've been asking myself the same question, to be honest with you. I was approached because me and the Duchess did an event together for Act on Addiction, and she was kind of doing a speech at the event, and I was playing one of my songs, Leave a Light On, and we kind of got chatting a bit at the event. But then afterwards, the Duchess's team approached me and asked me if I would play at the carol service and wondered if I could do my song Leave a Light On. And I said to them, absolutely, no worries, I can do that. But I've got a Christmas song that no one's heard yet. that might be perfect for the service. And we sent that across to the team, and the Duchess and her team really loved it. And then I got approached another week later, like, oh, the Duchess would love to accompany you on the piano. And I didn't even know she played piano at this point. So
I don't think any of us did really, until we had like a little, because we deal with Kensington Palace all the time. I think it was that like the day before they said, "Oh, we've got something to tell you about on." Was it Christmas Eve morning or?
Yeah, we've got a surprise for you.
And we all went, "Well, what's that?" Because we'd all covered it, and we'd all actually, some of us had actually gone to watch it. And but you recorded it the day before, didn't you? The actual carol concert, so no one knew about it.
No, it was all very hush-hush. I mean, we had like a secret rehearsal a couple of days before we did the actual recording to practice the song together. And then, on the day before, I believe it was the 7th of December, we recorded it together. And, from the Duchess to go from a rehearsal room where me and her were just playing together, practicing the tune, to jump straight into, we're at Westminster Abbey, a whole host of cameras, a band that she'd never played with. I mean, I just thought it was incredible to jump into a situation like that and absolutely smash it. So, yeah, it was incredible.
So the secret rehearsal, you can hopefully tell us a bit more about how that worked now. We know that it's happened. How do you go about having a secret rehearsal with the Duchess of
no
Cambridge?
One knowing.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we just booked a studio for me, which is obviously not that out of the ordinary. I book studios all the time, and then the Duchess came down with her team, but we just didn't mention it to anybody, so it was quite easy to keep it all quiet. And I don't know, nobody spotted her on the way in, I guess.
Does anyone else in the studio go, "I'm sure I recognise that woman. Where's she from?"
I'm sure a member from her team would have gone up to the desk and explained,
right.
She was coming in the secret entrance to the studio kind of thing. But it was all good, and nobody spotted us on the day, and it was a great rehearsal. And of course, it all led to the event, which went really well.
Funny enough, I'd read in that morning, I did a quick Google, because like you, I didn't know she played piano. I did a quick Google, and there was an article that came up from 2011 which said it was from her music teacher or something, saying, "Oh, Kate's never going to be a concert pianist." And clearly she is a concert pianist, because she does it in Westminster Abbey with you.
I mean, that's a bit harsh, really, isn't it?
I think it was a great thing that she did. It was amazing. I just thought it was quite amusing that she's proving her piano teacher wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Duchess said to me herself she hadn't played with other musicians in over 10 years. So for her to jump straight in with a string section and 2 backing vocalists and, play the piano, and she was leading the whole thing. So the tempo was set by the Duchess. So if she'd come in too fast or too slow, it all would have got wrong. So it's a lot of responsibility, and just went so well. I was absolutely made up with it, and very, very impressed, to be honest.
And how many takes did it take you?
I mean, I think the take we ended up using was take 6, but that was not because of us. Like, I think the second or third take in, it was absolutely nailed, but the cameras wanted to go again to get some extra shots they could use.
That's what I say. See, when I mess up a piece of camera, also it's the cameraman's fault. It wasn't my words.
Never us professionals.
The cameras were in the wrong position. I was perfect. So yeah. But that's something. But I mean, what happened after it went out on Christmas Eve? Because I presume the well, you don't say sales anymore. We do downloads or streams. What do we say these days?
Yeah, I guess downloads. I mean, I looked I think it was the iTunes chart, and I'd released this song on like the 8th of December, but it got on a couple of radio plays, but obviously nothing compared to what it got after the 24th. And I'd looked on the iTunes chart, and I think it had jumped 42 places to number 3 in the downloads chart. So I mean, it was such a special moment. I got to watch it on Christmas Eve with my mom and my dad and my gran and my sister all in the room. And I'd only told them about it like the day before, like, this is going to happen on telly tomorrow. We should sit down and watch it.
The song was really, I thought, really fitting, though, for the carol concert and what she was trying to do for sort of togetherness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wrote the song about my granddad because we sadly lost him in the first pandemic, and it was really tough for my mum and for the whole family, because we didn't get to go and see him because you weren't allowed to, and there were so many measures in place, and my mum didn't get to say goodbye to her dad. And I wrote the song thinking about my mother at Christmas round the table, having to face the fact that her father wasn't there for the first time ever. And So I think it connected to the Carol concert because Together at Home was all about bringing the communities that had all come together over the pandemic to really help people who needed it most. And I just thought it was such a fantastic service and such an amazing thing for the Duchess to put on.
That must have been quite emotional then, actually sitting down on Christmas Eve with your family, watching the song that you'd written about, the loss of your granddad.
Yeah, it was really emotional. As I say, my mum she was in floods of tears, and we always do this thing on Christmas Day. My gran always raises a glass and says, "This is to take a little moment to think about those who can't be with us at the table this year," and Christmas is like that for everybody. There's somebody missing often, and it's always somebody very important, family or friend. So yeah, it was tough, but also, I think it was a beautiful thing to sit down and witness with my family at Westminster Abbey, and the Carol concert. Me and my partner got to go and be there at the event, and that was absolutely incredible. So it was a mix of sadness and happiness.
And have you stayed in touch with the Duchess since?
Well, it's not like I've got a number kind of thing.
Well, you might.
She sent me a very lovely letter after the concert, thanking me and the band and everything, and she'd signed it personally, and I've got it framed up in the house, which is lovely.
They still do letters in the palaces, like when the rest of the world's on like email or WhatsApp messages or Snapchat, they're on letters.
I have to say though, sort of tying in, she turned 40 on Sunday, and we were talking last week on the podcast about how much the Duchess has sort of developed into the role over the last 10 years, really, while she's been a member of the royal family. I don't think you'd have seen her doing something like this when she first started. I think that's kind of a real progression we've seen in her.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a big gamble. It could have gone completely wrong, and there's like you could potentially make a fool of yourself messing something like that up, and to do it that well and that gracefully in front of all the cameras and everything, as I say, it's no mean feat. It's a real big deal. So I thought it was quite brave, to be honest, to do all that and pull it off the way that she did. I thought it was great, and actually being at the event as well was so beautiful. Especially that room that me and the Duchess sang in. I cannot tell you how beautiful it was and how awesome the natural reverb to sing and play a guitar in that room with all the vocals and everything splashing around the room. It sounded absolutely magnificent. And then to watch the choir sing at the event in Westminster Abbey, it was so beautiful, and the organ was like, it is so loud and so grand. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, that event. It was so special.
Have you been into Westminster Abbey before, or was it your first?
That was my first time into Westminster Abbey.
Nice building, isn't it? Yeah. We pop in every so often for work reasons, but every time you go in, you still kind of look up and go, it's quite nice here.
It's absolutely stunning. Beautiful venue. I mean, the architecture is just absolutely stunning. Yeah, it's lovely.
You've got to top that next year then. What are you going to do next Christmas?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see if we can get a collaboration with the Pope or something on the go and see what's going.
We'll make some calls.
Exactly. Yeah.
Listen, it's been great talking to you. Thank you very much
for
sharing that with us. And I'm so glad that you enjoyed it. And it was a success on many levels. So, right, from Mr. Singer to Mr. Motivator.
That was
terrible.
Well,
I don't know. One is a motivator, one is a singer. So he called
that is.
Mr. Motivator.
I mean, it's factually.
Why can't I call Tom Walker Mr. Singer?
It is factually correct. Yes.
So what can you tell me about Mr. Motivator and his unitard and his MBE and his conversation with Prince William?
So we will play it to you, but Mr. Motivator, whose real name is Derek Evans, was presented with an MBE.
Carry on. I didn't know his real name was Derek Evans, but I'm
with an MBE this week by the Duke of Cambridge, and that was for services to health and fitness.
And here is Mr. Motivator's summary of his conversation with the Duke of Cambridge.
He said to me, right, that he was looking forward to meet me, and he was glad. And he said, thank you for everything that you have done, right? And I then said to him, look, there's a strong relationship between what you have been pushing, which is all to do with mental fitness, and the physical side, and the two things need to merge more. And he said, yeah, that's something that we should definitely be looking at doing. And I said, yeah, I'm looking forward to working with you to make that happen. He said, well, do you expect me to wear a unitard? I says, well, it so happens I have got one made up for you. He said, well, I think I'll leave that to you. I don't think I look as good as you in one.
You'd be a brave man to try one of those, I think.
Now, We could bring that to you exclusively, couldn't we, on this podcast? Mr. Motivator and Prince William exercise combination in unitards. What are the chances?
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Well, you know what? I said to you at the very top of this podcast that it was going to be an eclectic mix of royal news, and I think we have lived up to that billing.
I think that was an accurate description of what we've just navigated through.
Platinums, puddings, princes. I'm trying to think of all the P's. I can't think of a P from Exercise Mr. Motivator. Princess. Kate's kind of a princess.
Yeah.
40th birthday. Pageants.
A
production outside the palace. Mm-hmm. Any more P's?
Nope. I think let's wrap up on the P's.
How about we should pee off? Right. Thank you for watching. See you next week. Bye-bye.